Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Franz, Sidney. Today, very happily going to talk about meditation and mindfulness with our guest, and her name is Anne-Marie Emmanuel. So thank you for coming here to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's quite a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy. I hope it will be more than a quiet. I think it will be a really good pleasure because we are going to talk about something that is really, right now is very common to talk about mindfulness and eating mindfully, not rush eating or go to bed and then relax before, or even go outside. Wait, before you go outside, relax and be mindful, be in the present. There's so much talk about it. So who are you and what is meditation? How did you discover this?
Okay. So, as you said, my name is Anne-Marie Emmanuel, and the company I have is Mindful Frontiers. And we bring meditation, the benefits of meditation to classrooms, families, and organizations. And I got started with this in around 2016. I was a teacher in a classroom teacher, and we had experienced something quite traumatic. Right before the beginning of the school year, two students took their life, and it was very sad and for me, it was the first time that had happened in my career as a teacher. And I was really grieving these two students, one of which I really knew had in my class. And this experience rekindled my own meditation practice that I had started many, many years before, a couple decades before, and had sort of let it lapse a little bit. And I started meditating again for myself, for my own relaxation and well-being. And I decided if it's going to help me, which it was helping, I will bring it into my classrooms and see how it goes with the students. And I didn't have a lot of experience at the time sharing it with young people. So I just brought an app. I brought my phone into the classroom and I would say, okay, we're doing a mindful moment at the beginning of the class. And we did it again at the end of the class. And I just turned on the app, and I realized pretty quickly that they really enjoyed that break. And that led me to decide to get credentials and take courses and learn more about how to bring the benefits of mindfulness and meditation to young people.
That's amazing. I just wanted to add, I heard something about that was piloted I think it was in the UK a couple of years ago. They were trying to see how students would react, yoga, meditation, just being calm. And it seemed to have been very successful. So you talked about several stories, the story of a school and the story of a girl that was having problems in her family. Give us this example then, please, on how meditation can help shifting problems that we might have internally, and then maybe we feel like we can't escape from these problems.
Mhm. So, the one story that I'd like to share is a positive one that really led me on some other journeys in my life, but really having to do with mindfulness. And this was during the COVID pandemic. We were all stuck at home, all around the world, and children, were stuck at home doing their coursework online. And of course, Zoom became very popular at that time. And as I had just started my Mindful Frontiers organization, I decided to reach out to schools. By that time, I was retired from classroom teaching, and I wanted to share this with some classrooms because it had been very successful in mine. So I offered my time to some schools, and one school in particular asked me to do 6 weeks. Once a week, I would Zoom into the classroom. And of course, we have to imagine all these students are in their own homes, but they're joining a classroom in Zoom. And they were fourth graders, so fairly young. That means about 10, 8, 10 years old. So I brought a program to them where every week I would share one type of mindfulness. So maybe it was mindfulness of sound, paying attention to sound, or paying attention to bodily sensations, doing body scans. The breath, of course, that's very common, but for young people, the breath is not that easy to pay attention to. So we start with things like sound. So I did a 6 week program in this fourth grade class, and I enjoyed it tremendously. And then it was over. So I didn't know how that had reached the students. Of course, I did have them fill out a survey. But at one point, I forget exactly how long after, I got an email from a mother of one of the students. And she, in her email, said that she could tell which day her student had seen me or had done mindfulness because her daughter, who has some developmental delays and has a tendency to get anxious and agitated, was more quiet and more calm that day. And that to me was, I mean, that was exactly, that's what I want, is for it to reach the students and help them. And subsequently, as it turns out, I became this student's private tutor. Her family decided to take her out of the regular school system because it wasn't working for her. And I became her at-home tutor. So that was quite a revelation for me.
So that's amazing because we know that there is quite a trend now in homeschooling. I am a homeschooling mom as well, so I know. And we try both ways. And I'm a teacher as well, 15 years as a language teacher. So I know both sides, although I did teach adults from 16 to 90 years old, only languages. So it's a different approach, but you can really tell that some people thrive at school and other people just don't, because not one system fits everyone. We're all a little bit different, and there is this structure and the pressure and exams, and for some people that is just no. But even so, even if a structure is made and a professor, we say need a professor, teachers are amazing. Sometimes it's just our peers, when we are like 5 to 15, children can be really cruel. They tease you, they bully you. And especially if you're really unhappy at home with something, they tend to aggravate that feeling of, I want to revenge on somebody else. So it can be quite difficult for a child to go to school and fear, oh, I cannot sit with anyone. I don't know anyone. Nobody talks to me. They're withdrawn. They might be in a cloud trying to cope with all this. And the teacher is talking, but it's not really with them. So it's so important to center again the attention on what is important. You are at school to learn something and to become a critical thinker, we hope. We just hope, pious hope here. And to become an adult eventually. So meditation plays a very important role, and especially with people who have anxiety, autism, hyperactivity. How do you think that that is working? What is the big thing about it?
So the in for breath practice, for example, is very, very powerful for the nervous system. So when we do a meditation or a mindfulness practice, the first thing we do is we settle our bodies into where we're sitting. And then the second thing or that we do is focus on our breath. And that proverbial sentence where people say, just take a deep breath, is actually very helpful. So when you take a deep breath or deeper than usual breaths, what it does is it relaxes the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system that has to do with our emotions. And so by following the breath and then taking these longer breaths, and when we do breath practice in meditation, we also can count the breath, like count in and then count out. All of that settles the nervous system. And so that's a very important benefit of meditation, is settling the body and settling the nervous system.
That's great. Well, thank you for that. Well, was this another story, or was that the two, the school one and the girl one? Yeah. So was there?
I have one that's actually quite profound, but you let me know if
Yes.
we have time
Please,
for
please
that.
do. Yeah.
Okay. Because this one is actually not didn't have a happy ending um, for the students, but it ended up being very, very beneficial for me. So I had been incorporating mindfulness into my classes, both middle school, which is adolescent age, and then high school, which is upper teenage. And this was in a teenage class. I was teaching English language arts, and so I noticed these two girls whenever I would say that we were going to do our mindful practice, they would find an excuse to go to the bathroom, or I could see in their faces that this just wasn't, and I kept trying. Kept telling them, just try, it's okay, well, it actually became quite difficult. And they went to the dean of instruction and told her that they did not want to be in my class anymore because they did not feel comfortable doing mindfulness. Well, at that time, I did not know about trauma, and how when you settle your mind, when you try to bring relaxation to your mind and your body, if you have a background of trauma, sometimes that can bring those flashbacks and the trauma back to mind. And so the girls did leave my class, but what that taught me was there's something else I need to learn. And so I took courses in what we call trauma informed mindfulness. And it ended up being really very beneficial to me, so that now when I go into a classroom and I teach mindfulness, I don't require the students to close their eyes, for example, because that can feel very unsafe. And I also encourage them to have something in their hand, maybe to play with, if they're feeling anxious. I also tell them you don't have to do this. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to follow the guidance. Just please don't distract others who do want to do it. And so that was a very illuminating experience for me. The girls didn't get the benefit, but I got the benefit of learning from them something else that I needed to learn.
Yeah, that's a great thing. In the end of the day, it's our choice. If we cannot sit with ourselves in quiet,
Mhm.
something is going on in the inner
Of
mind that
course.
needs to be processed. And there will be a time when they will be ready to say, okay, let's get the skeleton out of a cupboard and let's process them. Maybe with a therapist. Maybe they can use mandalas or whatever. There are
Right.
so many ways. I mean, I'm training art therapy coaching. So I'm an artist and I'm a therapist, but not an art therapist, but I'm an art therapy coach. That's very different.
Yes, of course. No, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite where you have to have a degree in art therapy. That's completely different. I'm not really interested in that. I prefer just to use art as a way to unwind. For me, just incredible. And maybe, who knows, I remember there is a course in England, it's called Drawing and Talking. And some of my friends have done that. And it's about I don't know how many weeks we do, but we get all the children in the class and we are free to draw. And the person is just there to facilitate the drawing
Right.
and to help them to see, what does this represent to you. So they don't tell them, oh, this has to be like this. They ask them.
Right.
And you can see the drawings, how with time
Mhm.
they change to indicate there is a state of release of these toxic emotions. They were maybe stored in there. And as we make sense of them, we can move on. And so the
Right.
drawings are less dark and less gloomy. We become happier and whatever.
I use drawings as a mindful practice for the very young, like kindergarten, first, second grade, maybe third grade as well, because they're not quite, their executive function or their brain is not formed yet to be able to have a self, to observe themselves. And so they don't really know what are the emotions that they are feeling. They don't have the words, they know happy, glad, sad, but they don't know the subtleties. So I have them draw. So I will say, draw a picture of what it looks like to be scared, or draw a picture of what it looks like when we're working with mindfulness of emotion, right? Which is feeling the emotions in your body. It's a somatic experience, but they don't have quite yet that ability. So we do it through drawing. And I'll say, tell a story of, you know, a fish or an animal or something that is angry or sad or something like that.
That's a great point. So metaphors are very important for our mind because we use them all the time without realizing. That's why, when you with Cinderella or some of it and dwarfs here and there, you read the stories and you kind of see principles there. You can take them back to your life. You say, I'm just like
Exactly.
whatever character. I'm just like the Lion King. There is
Yes.
something that helps us to kind of have imagination as well. So we,
They have a lot of imagination, so they can
yeah,
transpose what they're feeling onto a character, like you say, the lion. I know what the lion's feeling like because I've
yeah,
felt that way. They may not know
yeah.
the words,
Yeah,
right?
what does the lion want now to be happy? Oh, he wants
Exactly.
cuddles, and you can
Yes.
hear how
Yes.
the
They
children when
understand that.
yeah, that's great. So let's say that there's a person listening. Hopefully, we have more than one person listening to this. I would be very glad if it's more than one. So, and they like, yeah, that would be quite nice. I want to try meditation. So, what steps would they need to take to get started with this ancient practice?
Yes, very ancient practice. So, just very briefly, it started in Asia, and it was, in monasteries, and monks practiced it for the benefit of the world. And it's come to the Western world as a practice, not a therapy, but a practice that helps settle the nervous system primarily, and helps by um, by using the breath or whatever mindful anchor we use to just settle ourselves. And in time, the benefits are that we are more able to observe what's going on in our bodies and around. That heightened mindfulness is actually a benefit for us so that we can see what's going on and feel it, make a decision of how to proceed. So when someone has the desire to begin a meditation practice, I would say the first thing to do is, well, there's two things I would suggest. Either find a meditation coach, because they will guide you. So either find a meditation coach and sign up for some coaching, some individual lessons. That would be wonderful. But if for any reason they aren't able to do that, then of course there's lots of apps that you can download on your phone that have pre-recorded meditations. Those are fine, and they work quite well. What I like, of course, and you probably understand, is the coaching, the one-on-one. There's nothing like one-on-one to get started, to understand the steps. And the steps are primarily to make the decision and the commitment to begin, and then to understand that it takes a while for the practice to become a routine. And it starts with our desire and our commitment, right? Past that, the steps are to have a quiet place in your home as best as you can. Um, or out in nature is wonderful if you have a, a park nearby, or even just a tree in your front yard, or if you live in the city and there's a community park, or you live in a community of apartments, there might be a central area that you could go to that feels comfortable. And that's the primary place, is to find a safe, quiet place where you will sit, either in a chair or on a pillow on the ground, and you will try to just follow your breath for as long as you can. And the mind will get in the way, and thoughts will start to race, and um, doubt will spring up. And when that happens, what we say in meditation coaching is just go back to your anchor over and over. If it's your breath, just go back to the breath. And sometimes we lose our focus, and minutes go by and we realize, oh, where was I? Oh, I got caught up in some ruminating about something that happened yesterday. It's okay. Just come back to the breath. And that's what we do over and over and over again. And it gets easier. And every day is a new day, and some days will be easier than others. But really, those are the easiest steps that I can recommend.
Well, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. That's really interesting. And, I'm sure that everyone wants to have a try and see how it works. And just realizing that every time we try to stop, so no devices, nothing
Mhm.
external, there's this noise inside.
Oh, always. And so, there's a big myth that I would like to mention is that people who have heard that you're not supposed to have thoughts when you meditate, that the whole point of the meditation is to have a blank mind, and that's impossible. It,
Just,
it, it cannot happen.
yeah.
Our minds are made for thinking, and we are Homo sapiens, and we think and we analyze, and that's what we do best. And so, but that also is what brings us disappointment and pain and chaos and all that. So meditation is simply a way to be in the moment with whatever is there, whatever shows up. And by using an anchor like the breath or sound or bodily sensation, we just keep bringing that focus back. Just keep bringing it back, and it does work. It sounds a lot simpler than it actually is. It's actually not that simple to do because, like you said, the mind wants to have thoughts.
Yeah, wants to be very busy. Hold on a minute. So do we have a couple of minutes to try this so people can hear how it works?
Sure, I would love to do that.
Right, let's do this. Let's do
All
this.
right.
So what are we supposed to do?
Okay, so first, just notice where you're sitting and make any move around, decide what you need. Do you need another pillow? Do you need to move to a different chair? Whatever you need. In other words, look, where are you right now? And so if the listener happens to be in their car, if you can, I would love it if you could um, go to the side of the road. But if you can't, just follow along. Of course, you won't be closing your eyes because you're driving. But if you're sitting at home, then find your comfortable place in your house, in the living room, whatever that is, your den, your bedroom. I would prefer that you're sitting than lying down because it will put you to sleep, which is a whole different type of practice. So
Mhm.
this is a sitting practice, okay? So once you have found yourself to be comfortable, we have a few choices to make first. What are we going to do with our hands? So you can put your hands on your lap, maybe gently clasped, or I have my fingers really clasped together because I have very fidgety fingers. You can also put them on the table in front of you if you're at a table, just somewhere where your hands will be comfortable. And then the second choice is, do you want your eyes open or closed? I I I go right to eyes closed because that's my practice. But if you don't feel comfortable with your eyes closed, you have the choice to just gaze at something neutral in front of you. I tell children, stare at something boring, or you can have your eyes half open, half closed. So play around with that and see what feels best for you. And then the third choice is, where are we going to focus our mindful attention? And I'd like for us to consider the breath today. So our breathing can be noticed either at the nostrils, at the chest, or in the lower abdomen, or what we also call the belly. So make a decision for yourself where you want to follow the breath. And just begin by taking two deeper than usual breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then just let the breath be normal, whatever that rhythm is. And so as we notice the breath going in and out, we can notice whether the breath is warmer as it goes in the nose, or is it colder as it comes in the nose and warmer as it goes out? Do we notice that our chest expands when we breathe in and contracts when we breathe out? Does our belly expand like a balloon when we breathe in and contract when we breathe out? And just notice that. We'll do just a few of those breaths, just noticing what happens in your body when you breathe. And if there are any sounds that are around you, you just let them be. Just let them be as like the ambiance of the room. And when the thoughts come, which they will, you recognize them and then imagine that they are clouds in the sky and they just blow by. So we don't want to ignore those thoughts. We want to acknowledge them, and then they will move on and go back to the breath. You just bring your attention back to your breath and do this for as long as you can, as long as you feel comfortable doing. And when you're at the point where you're finished, take another deep breath in and breathe out. And then when you're ready, you open your eyes if they've been closed and you look around your room, notice colors and shapes, and come back to your space around you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I'm sure that was very relaxing for all the people who are listening, and perhaps they want to try it again, and they might want to contact you to find out how to really get started with this and how it works. So we'll be giving links and everything below. Any offer that you have will be right there. So you guys have to really check out Anne-Marie, because I think there's a lot that we can all gain from being more mindful, more present. And it doesn't take very long. It takes 5-10 minutes, just to relax and think how life would be a lot easier if we all did that. Yeah. So, right.
I welcome everyone to my website, which thank you for putting the link in the description. And I would encourage everyone to sign up for my seasonal newsletter that I send out with information and a little teaching, some words of wisdom, and links to practices that they can try. And then, of course, all the other things that I offer. And my vision of Mindful Frontiers is to welcome a mindful future, one present moment at a time.
Very good. So Anne-Marie Emmanuel, I read it in Italian, not in Corsican or American. So thank you so much for being here with us, and everyone, check it out, check everything out and see how it works for you. And maybe you want to review this podcast and see if we can be seen by more people. Click like or subscribe, or even both. And remember to listen to the whole episode so that we can get a better background and help from YouTube and iTunes to be then proposed to more people, so we can help more people to create the life that they want. And this is created by doing this, by using mindset techniques, neuroscience techniques that are just there. They're easy to use and they can create so much change. I'm so excited every week to give you one more. So thank you again. Thank you, Anne-Marie. See you all next week.
Thank you very much. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.